Okay, I'd like to call to order the February 10th, 2025 Tukwila Pool Metropolitan Park District regular Board of Commissioners meeting to order. I'd like to volunteer to read the mission and vision.
I can do it.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
The PPMPD mission statement: to provide a welcoming public aquatic facility managed in a fiscally responsible manner with a focus on educating all agents of the lifelong skills of water safety. To carry out this mission, the board and staff work compassionate, inclusive, and responsive to the needs of our diverse community, working to foster positive and lifelong experiences with aquatic environments. PPMPD vision statement: contributing to the quality of life for our community and for the future generations through welcoming fun, safe, and positive aquatic experiences at the Tukwila Pool.
If we'd like to rise into the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll start today. Flash.
Commissioner Stahl present.
Commissioner Shipman present.
Commissioner Baker present.
Commissioner Granger-Williamson present.
And Commissioner Zaptel present. We are also joined by our Executive Director, Brad Carpin, our District Clerk, Jen Hanna, and our Programming Manager, Anastasia Shapiro. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda as presented? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, employee of the month. Who would like to talk about Rashad?
Yeah, so Rashad is our employee of the month for January. Rashad has always done such a great job of being on top of it, and he was one of our key lifeguards in the evening. Rashad was one of our lifeguards that trained for months to become a lifeguard. He really wanted to be a lifeguard with us, and he put in a lot of hard work with the help of some of our staff. He was practicing almost every day. So we really just want to applaud Rashad for all of his hard work and dedication to becoming a lifeguard.
Oh, bless him. Now, where does he go to school?
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Right.
Thank you. Moving on to citizen comments. I see we had some Google reviews and a great verbal comment too.
Yeah, so the reviews. So a parent came up to me during some lessons to give Ahmed, one of our instructors, a verbal compliment. They said that they really enjoyed their class. Their student loved having Ahmed as an instructor. And I don't know if this was the same parent, but I got another email about Ahmed today on that same line. They really appreciate that he includes the fundamentals in his upper level lessons. So he's a very well-rounded instructor, and we really enjoy having him.
That's awesome. Knowing where he started as a lifeguard and wanted to become a swim instructor and did not make it through the first round, is that correct?
Yes.
Of the certification program. So then months later, kept engaging, and then Anastasia included the next class that he was eligible for and became a swim instructor. So here is feedback programs.
And correct me if I'm wrong, he was also employee of the month last month?
No, that was Ahmad.
Ahmad,
We
I'm
have
sorry.
Ahmed and Ahmad, yeah, but he is also great. He was employed with us at some point.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Very fun. And there's no one online? For
No one
no one
online?
online?
No.
All right. Moving on to consent agenda for the minutes and the vouchers.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes and vouchers and meeting.
I second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented?
say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, reports. We'll start with our executive director.
Good evening. Gosh, where to start? Nothing super critical to report out, just some standard updates, things that have happened recently that I just didn't want to wait to the next board meeting, but we did have our first quarterly meeting of the 2025 year with the school districts, which was attended by Vanessa, Zach, and Jerry. So overall, good discussion, good opportunity to clarify things around our ongoing discussions for memorandums of understanding as it relates to our parking challenges, as well as our long-term lease discussions about developing into the future on this site. And so that was pretty much the gist, in addition to a few other questions that we'll draft up and then we'll follow up with the school district on. So just from a high level standpoint, overall good meeting, good response. Everybody seemed engaged with the discussion that was being had. The school district seems as though they have some items they're still looking through regarding the MOU parking and long-term lease with their attorney before they'll provide us any type of follow-up, which we're hoping to see hopefully within weeks, but certainly hope that it's not months. So, but everyone seemed as though positive engaged in that aspect. Pool pump number 5, this was an ongoing piece I've reported out a few times in our weekly updates. We are making some headway on our main pool pump that drives the bigger part of our organization, which is the water, filters our water. That we received 1 of 2 estimates already, which is great, and those estimates are currently coming in less than initially thought. And so we'll be able to provide a more in-depth update after the finance committee and after receiving the second estimate, so we can kind of compare and then award the work, so we can start building out this project. Should our pump fail this year, we'll have a safety net already on site. So we're working towards completing the second estimate there. The next piece we'll probably talk a little bit more in the feasibility update about grant funding, King County Parks Levy, just so everybody's aware. If you're not already aware, that grant for our aquatics facilities opens February 27th and closes March 31st. So some work to come for that grant and some grant writing, which we'll get into grant writing services a little bit later. And then the last thing that I wanted to report out was last 2 real fast. Drowning Prevention Network is a group that meets, so a nice little cohort of folks throughout Washington with water-based kind of mindsets like the Voters Agency, some cool folks, some of the healthcare providers, Splash Forward, one of our nonprofit organizations, the development project. They meet really to discuss water safety in Washington, drowning rates, education opportunities, our water safety days, all these types of things are being discussed at this network. So I'll start providing more report out on the Drowning Prevention Network as it comes out. Pacific Northwest Aquatics Regional Coalition is the next one. This is an interesting group being led by, again, Splash Forward. Susan Papalardo and her team has kind of reached out and started assembling this group of individuals, again, from public municipalities and other cool projects. Whether you are a city employee or just a member of the community, you can join this group. It's fascinating. This group does a lot of report out on current projects as well as future projects as it relates to aquatics and trying to build and or ensure aquatics is sustainable in Washington State. So to just kind of listen to people's project updates and city project updates, where they're at, where they're finding inroads and successes, where their challenges are. This is a very well-informed and a very good group to listen to. So I will share the next the next meeting invite for those that may want to just listen. and or just be a part of that next meeting. And no report out is required, but it is good knowledge, because you get to hear what's going on in the regions. Washington State Auditor's Office, again, that was a meeting that was recently conducted this past week, also attended by Vanessa and Jerry. This has to do with our request for a 3-year financial audit, which would establish our bond rating, as suggested by D.A. Davidson Investment Banking, who does a lot of public municipality bonds. So we will continue to inform you on progress after Finance Committee will make a decision should we officially fill. So more information to come there. And then the last one is Washington City's Insurance Authority. There's quite a bit of work coming up for the month of February. That's going to be a little task driven. Our cybersecurity risk evaluation is going through a brand new software with WCIA, so it's going to look a little different than it did last year. It's no longer a questionnaire that they give you and you fill out and send back to them. It's through a brand new software. 2024 worker hours, they're going to start working on our 2026 assessment, which they're going to start working on our 2026 assessment, which dictates our assessment fee for our next insurance renewal, just so everybody's aware. So that bullet point number 2 on Washington City Insurance and our worker hours, we're starting to collect all that information and make a pretty informed decision on what assessment fees may look like next year. And a lot of information will come out in July of this year, so we'll have a really good indication of where we may be leading from a cost perspective, just so everybody's aware there. 2025 WCIA annual review of audits. Our annual audit with our risk representative is going to be scheduled anytime between March and October. It's a pretty standard piece for us. This is a risk rep that will most likely come on site or virtual, and we'll pick an area to assess, and then we'll dig in and go through just kind of a full audit. And we can suggest an area to audit as well, but that's coming up just so everybody's aware. Any questions for me?
Brad, under the Washington State Auditor's Office, you, on the second bullet point, what is FSSC?
Feasibility Study Steering Committee, my apologies.
Thank you.
So, go ahead, Andrew.
The Washington City's Insurance Authority are those people that we get our insurance through that have us in with the excessive user? Have there been any discussion?
No major discussion. As a matter of fact, what I'll do is, I thought I emailed, did I share the talking points from their risk individual? You guys had a question about WCAA. There was a lot of discussion. I thought I shared that.
You might.
Let me resend that, but those are the talking points that
Okay.
you probably want. Because nothing's going to formally come out until we start approaching July.
Right.
July is when we're going to start making some final decisions on what that assessment fee is going to look like and for group pooled members. So more info, but I'll still send that.
Thank you.
And do you know which, who Mount Rainier went with?
No, I'll know this week when I dig into their
So then just, I just wanted to just add a little bit to what Brad said about the TSDV, just because parking is such a hot issue, that we provided solutions to their identified concerns, and they seemed receptive to
Well-
those solutions, and so they're going back.
Right, but I think that, you know, just for people who don't know, the solution that Vanessa was able to locate a lease that Breton School District did with, what's his name?
Oh, I'm talking about parking specifically, but yes, so in the feasibility, I'll talk about that
Oh, okay.
piece, but I'm talking about just parking.
Oh.
Parking seems, and we just, the two solutions, their two biggest issues were, they didn't want to be the ones to have to notify us if there is an event at, you know, at a high capacity TSD event. They didn't want the burden and commit to that. So we suggested that they use technology that already exists to solve that problem. We already have access to, is it Facility Dude or something like that, the current. And so if they just added a line that says, you know, when the people rent or they use the pack or whatever it is, they just say estimated attendance and parking requirements. If they just do that, then we can self-monitor that. So there wouldn't be the burden of them having to notify us. And then the second one was that they
Staff.
didn't want to have to provide staff to open. They didn't have a problem with us using the technology building parking lot and the Michelle Water bus loop, but they didn't want to commit. So once again, we suggested, would it be possible for us to have a key? And they seemed receptive to that. And we actually further said that we would provide opening and closing logs to say when we opened, when we closed each time. And they seemed receptive to that. They were going to go back, and we will definitely be following up. But those were the two biggest concerns they had with parking, because, you know, if we have those two areas open, there's 425 spots. So in between all the parking spots. So anyway, so those were the two issues they brought up, we addressed, and they seemed to be receptive to it. And then the second thing about about the SAO, even if we request a financial audit, doesn't change our requirement to have an accountability audit. So it means that we would be doing 2 audits, just to be clear. Yeah,
We only budgeted for one, right?
correct.
Increase for
A little bit, but not to that level.
Right, exactly.
Not to that level, would be Jerry?
I don't think that much.
Yeah.
It was,
Because they've said approximately 100 hours at like 13, so like $14,000. So that would cover 3 years. We've never had one. And I wanted to also thank Brad very much, because Amy's out of town and he's picking up bookkeeper duties as well as onboarding and everything else. So really appreciate all the efforts Brad put in. He's
No, and the
continuing
team
to.
is supporting me big time, so that's all appreciated.
Any other questions for our executive director? Now we'll move on to operations. I'm guessing Anastasia.
Yeah, not much happened. Registration just opened today, so for Temple residents. And it will open this Wednesday for our non-residents. We had a few pickups of registration today, but hopefully we're working through that. We found out that some things got wiped from the system, that we didn't consent to wiping from the system.
Let's make
Nothing that impacted us majorly.
And nothing from staff. wise,
Nothing from
just
staff.
software issue.
Correct, yes. But we're working through that, so Matthew and I are gonna hop on a call with them tomorrow, to see what we can do to fix it for us. The grant, no update there, just removed to the USA Swim grant that I'm hoping to use for our Showalter swim lesson program, only has moved to the review phase. We'll share, they're supposed to share results no later than April 1st, so I'll continue to update if there's anything sooner. And then Rainier Prep, the school began its enrichment program with us. This week, they were supposed to start last week, but we had stuff, so they have about 20 students with us. This is our 3rd year doing this program with them, and we really love having them. The teachers and principals are all very involved and very cooperative as far as providing staff to make sure the students are behaving, participating, and then the answer to their question with what they wanted to do with us was they just want to have fun in the water. So they were able to let it all out after school today. So that was very loud. So yeah, it's great. It's great having them in the water. And then swim club, we're seeing a growing number of participants because we're seeing our Longfin kids feeding our Makeup Sharks program, which was ultimately the goal. So we're seeing a lot of our level 1, I've had to break out Makeup Sharks into 2 levels. So our level 1 students, all of them have come from our Longfin program. And then we had 32 kids, which is the most we've had so far. So yeah, it's a lot of kids, which is great. I love it. And then our spring egg hunt is coming up. I just wanted to throw that on there. That will be, it's not the 15th, it's actually the 22nd March. I had the 15th because it's the last day of the session. That is my apologies. It will be the 22nd of March. from 1 to 3. Check-in will start at 12:45. I want to reach out to our Key Club again for volunteers for the events. This event is just really opening those eggs up and, you know, making sure they find the golden ticket. So flyers ready to go, posters are printed. I will be taking them down to TCC, as well as having the 4Fs available. I will have to reach out to the school district before I the school district to see if it's okay to hand those out, because that seemed to be the confusion from our office manager or whoever's in the office.
I would reach out again to the communications individual, but I found success with each of the office, the person sitting at the counter always welcomed me in.
They're welcoming, they're like, did you get permission from the school to hand this out? Is always the reply I'm getting, so I just want to make sure that there is no confusion about like who we are and why we're there. No. Maybe the bunny soup, but not the shark. Yeah, so no updates currently for the board on that one. More will be presented at KeyNote this coming Saturday. And then our certification courses, nothing going on there. We'll have a spring break lifeguard course. We already have interest in our lifeguard class this upcoming spring break. And then just some of our instructors will just need to do a re-entry course. It'll be like a big refresher in service just to make sure we're staying up to date on our standards and teaching. And then what's that?
I can take ops from Matthew if you like.
It's okay. Almost.
Oh, no, you're on the roll, keep going.
It's okay. So with operations facility wise, we had some issues with our chlorine pump. So that is the one that feeds all of those chemicals into the pool. So that one was just leaking. So we replaced the tubing in the inner housing a few times. We were still having issues with it. So we were throwing in granular chlorine for a while. We were able to sort of remedy it. Right now it's working with no issues by switching to a smaller sized pipe inside or tube in there. Orca came out, Brad, I don't think they found any major issues. No, they couldn't really help us troubleshoot. They couldn't really find anything that we were doing incorrectly. Just could be the pump causing the scraping on the tubing. So nothing else there. It seems to be working so far. And then lastly on facility, our women's locker room door hinge, we received some feedback on the safety aspect. So people will pull the door versus pushing the door because it's missing the small handle on there. So in the meantime, I've put a sign up that says push so that people don't, pull it. But it seemed to be it was a big safety concern with a few of our users. So we ordered parts are on the way. Matthew will be double checking with Partworks to make sure that it is on the way, but yes, he has ordered them. And so that's facility. And then staffing, just a couple major things. We have opened the head guard 2 job position. Interviews concluded last week. So we had a couple of internal candidates and a couple of external candidates. So Matthew will be making that decision here shortly to decide, where we're going in that direction. And then we are working to staff our front desk both in the morning and the evening. We are filled. So now we have a presence at the front desk. We just think it's really important to make sure that in the evenings, families are greeted when they're coming in. They help with safety monitoring, locker rooms, things like that. And then in the mornings as well, it goes back to the safety piece, capturing those scans. We found the best results with somebody sitting at the desk and actually physically making sure people are standing in. So that way we know if they're going to lap swim or water aerobics.
Yeah, and just to highlight, I think Sierra,
Yes.
who we're working with and engaging with as an organization, I think is, so do you want to share a little bit about that real quick?
Yeah. So we've been working with ProVail, so they help find jobs for those who might have some difficulty finding jobs. But Sierra has been doing such a great job at the desk. She's pretty much mostly independent at this point. It's just small things with her, but
what type of difficulties? I
all
think
kinds.
folks are like, what type of
Well, it can be physical disabilities and then other additional needs. So anything that might be keeping them from working at the full capacity. But they have a job coach on site, who is helping us with that process. So they help, kind of redirect when needed. And so Sierra has been doing a really, really great job at the desk. She responds well to customers. Customers want to get to know her. So our water aerobics ladies love to get to know everybody, which is awesome. So she's been making friends and she loves to chat. So she fits in well with the team. So Sierra has been doing a really great job filling that role on Mondays and Tuesdays in the mornings. So yeah.
And I love to hear that. Thank you for the team for going forward with and researching that opportunity. So.
Yeah, well, thank you to ProVail. They've been doing a really great job.
And just a quick question on that. Is the job, I know the job coach is provided by ProVail. Is the job coach going to be there forever? As long as she's employed, or is there like a cutoff period where they?
It's a transitionary period, so they're gonna start to, so right now she's full-time with her and then along with another job coach, but they wanna kind of separate a little bit. So we don't have a specific timeline for us. It seems to be that they're working out that timeline and they do check-ins with her just to see her readiness. So, but yeah, it's definitely just to get her independent and working on that.
I was just curious.
Yeah, definitely.
The question I have, I heard you say mornings and evenings, but in the report it says weekends. Is there somebody now hired for the weekends?
We were able to figure out our staff availability. We initially didn't have, we're working on to see if we want to separate our morning and evenings and the weekends. So, but we haven't made any progress on separating out morning weekends and afternoon weekends. So that was the goal, but it just kind of, yeah.
So we currently don't have a weekend receptionist?
We do, yeah, we do.
So the answer to your question is yes.
We do, and that person is, who is that?
We have Brian typically working the weekends in addition to management, and then in the mornings, it's a swim instructor who's picking up additional hours on the weekdays in addition to Sierra. And the evenings, it's a combination of a number of staff based on availability and schedule. So front desk should have somebody present at most, if not all hours here.
But not a designated receptionist.
No, some of them are designated
On
front
weekends?
desk weekends. Brian is strictly front desk. The new hire that Matthew just offered a position to is also strictly and dedicated to the front desk. So you will start seeing consistency in terms of who's scheduled. Yeah. We're trying to eliminate some of the absences at the desk when folks walk in. We need to know who's in our building, and we need someone to be that stopgap. And so we're making every effort to.
And Brian's been doing it for how long? I mean,
Brian's been with us almost a year now, right?
Almost a year, summer.
Brian's a foster student. Yeah. So maybe not. When did you stop by? Just out of curiosity? Sunday.
I think one of the challenges that we've seen in the past, and I'm talking like a long time ago, was there would be congregations of people, lifeguards, everybody hanging at the front desk. And that doesn't seem to be a good use of people's time. But, I mean, I also understand we're social animals. We like to talk a little bit. That's understandable, but.
In high schoolers.
Another issue isn't just the congregation, it actually takes away from the duty of the front desk, which is to greet people as they come in, and so the people feel like they're intruding
Yeah.
the congregation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, until I come over and then they stop congregating. But yes, it's an ongoing, continuous thing. It's, we know the demographic we work with, that's a lot of training and constant reminders. But they get the hint after a while, and then you gotta start reminding them again after a while. So we're right now, as we're starting to staff that front desk again, we're seeing some of those issues coming to light again, especially in the evening. So I'll work with Matthew on how we're going to address that and make sure that there's direct understanding from staff about what that means and what happens when we do that. So yeah, definitely. Any questions for me on the operations report or the programs report?
I have a facility question Whatever happened to the automatic door opening? Project, what was that?
Nothing.
Kibosh?
Nothing
Nothing.
happened.
We have not gone back to the quote to dig into it any further at the moment.
Okay.
We want to, we need to, based on the demographics of our facility, and especially between the hours of 5:45 and 2 p.m. is where we typically see the need for the automatic door opener in our aging population. So it's not off the table, it's just we need to re-engage with it. I know we have a volunteer who is well-versed in the facility side, who has some thoughts on it. And so when that individual feels better, hopefully he and I can reconnect and just make sure, but if anyone's wanting to step in his place and help troubleshoot, I'm always open to feedback.
What kind of cost did you get an approximate?
The cost was great. I think the challenge was, are they also going to do, I think it was electrical?
Power,
and
there isn't, the power
to
was,
that.
power to it was not included.
So I think it's just that one piece. So it's either we work with a private organization who's done our electrical in the past, McKinstry, who's done a great job, getting us more outlets and rerouting things. Maybe they just come in and reroute and add some power to the door, and then the door company comes in and does the door. So we're just working on those pieces, and it's a project that will most likely get done before the summer.
Okay.
It's on the to-do list.
I only ask because whenever I take my son to lessons, I always see kids struggle. to
Oh,
open the
yeah,
door.
absolutely, we do too, all the time.
Well, I guess the good news with having dedicated front desk for our aging population, they can help, with, manually facilitate that.
Oh, do every time, but when we're inundated, it becomes that next challenge, and what we see, it's typically those with our walkers. And then the strength for some of our
Yeah.
80-plus-year-olds struggling to open that door. So yeah, we're gonna continue to push that project to get resolved.
So it's not, it doesn't sound like it's cost prohibitive to do it before we do any kind of remodeling or anything like that.
Yeah, it's worth it in our current state. The cost was just under 5,000 for the quote minus electric.
That's just to do the front door, not to do any of the other.
Just,
Yeah,
I guess
just
everything
front
else
doors.
doors.
Yeah, it's just front doors. The other doors are like an exit and emergency exit only, so really it's our entry that we really be focusing on.
I have a question, actually not for you, Anastasia, because your presentation was excellent, but for Brad. I'm kidding. Yours was excellent as well, Brad, but I was looking over the district administrator's annual agenda items. And I was just, there were some things that were listed in February that were due at the end of January. And for some reason that troubles me. Because I don't know if they were, it's right before all the big huge pieces of paper. If they were done, like the W-2 and 1099 distribution due 131, and why we have it in February if it's actually due by the end of January.
Yeah, great question. I can answer that. This is a template that we should discuss and kind of rework as a group, as a board, as well as our leadership. So I put it in here because it used to be in the board packet, and a good opportunity for us to start cleaning this up and reprioritize our work plan. W-2 distribution, definitely got that. That's our annual, right?
because Alan Dents does that for us, yeah.
And then we have these are the pieces Jen and I actually just noticed today. We were like, oh. So the next item is the roster biannual legal notice. Is something that I'm unfamiliar with that we'll dig into. And then for February.
Brad, that may be different now because MRSC is the official roster.
Right.
Okay.
But I think
Yeah,
leadership,
confirm,
we're
yeah.
gonna confirm, double check and provide an update. And then the minimum wage compliance form, and your budget review, that was gonna just finance committee, but we traditionally provide an end-of-year budget review in February. This year we'll be providing it in March, just due to bandwidth. And then the appendix B2. This is the ILA to the school districts that we want to re-engage in this process. We're at the table now quarterly. Hopefully we can just get it in front of them, whether they choose to utilize it or not on request base, that would be up to them when they finalize their high school schedule, and what potentially middle school. So should they see the benefit? But yeah, great question on that.
Well, one of the things that I noticed in, for finance was that awesome calendar. I was really jealous.
Good job, finance. Taking it out of the park.
That has helped the executive.
It was great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I just have one more comment, and then I missed my mind. The attachments, so you guys have noticed, it might be a little bit thinner, it's kind of hard to notice, some more packed thinner, but, many of the larger, more robust reports, like our water aerobics check-in, our swim club, so on and so forth, in conversation with Brad, we want to present it first to our program committee, TPAC, just so that they can see it on a monthly basis, and then to the board on a quarterly basis, so that we can keep the agenda items a little bit cleaner and clearer, and the roadmap to PMOC and TPAC, what will come out of there from those reports. So we just want to say that.
And the nice thing, doing quarterly reports in our board packet from a programmatic standpoint also provides a more transparent view on trends as opposed to trying to look at it monthly. So quarterly, we're able to look at, and actually it'll be the April board meeting where you'll get the first 3 months data trends and all things we used to report out, which I think will be a little bit more impactful. So just a heads up there. Thank you, Anastasia.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense to give it to the committee to look at in, on granular level and the board on a trend level. And also, thank you again for your reach out to the Key Club. I just love those additional partnerships. That's so great.
One of the girls that was on the Key Club actually was hired as a front desk person, so she
Oh.
was one who volunteered, so yeah, it was great. She was
Great. Any other questions for operation? Okay, then we'll move on to finance. Jerry. The fund committee.
So it was Friday, the update on the school results in this committee, which we already have one, and there's more time. And then we reviewed policies 535, 545, 550, and 580 with minor housekeeping for policies that will come up later in the business items that just needed some general housekeeping from change to director of the operations and district administrator to executive director. Very minor changes, so very little to review. It's just maybe those are the first ones to take at this time because of those were approved in July. There was discussion for the future personnel grant writing, which we also had a special meeting last week, and the minutes are in here also. And I'm sorry I don't have the date in front of me on that. To approve Rosen Consulting the grant writing, which was approved. And then Andrew asked about the IT policy updates, and that will be calling some leadership for come forward to the board of commissioners. That is something we should definitely talk. And next meeting is February 24th. The time has now changed. It now starts at 5 instead of 5:30. That would be the end of my report.
I really want to thank the finance committee for doing such a quick agreement to the grant writing contract. We really appreciate being able to move forward with that. So really appreciate being so quick on that. Are there any questions for finance?
Just the contract, just so everybody's aware, did go up for final signature today after review from the Rosen consultants and TPAC. So hopefully by tomorrow we'll have an idea if they are working with us, just so everybody's aware.
Yeah. Moving on to
Actually,
PMOC. Oh, sorry.
one follow-up question on that contract. Were they okay with it might take more than 14 days? We're okay.
Oh, yeah, that's a good, thank you. So the one concern, yeah, good job, thank you. The one concern that they had brought up, it wasn't a concern, it was more of just in their contract, there was a payment within 15 days of receiving receipt. So just making them aware that we're net 30, they were completely open to that, understood, and moved forward with contract.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they were very encouraged.
Okay,
Right, moving on to PMOC.
Oh, I thought it was two first. Okay.
Sorry, let me just make sure it's not.
Two contracts.
Oh, sorry. TMOC. Oh, that's wrong, sorry. Jerry, would you like to do TPAC?
Again, very robust meeting, everybody was there. You know, it's just, Jackie did not realize they were being held monthly, she thought they were being held quarterly. Brad talked about the top things that we talked about. 6 lifeguards are being recertified on January 18th. And Sadie brought up the policy 300 changes that which will be in the packet later today also. And review that all the TPAC maybe have any concerns or questions that alerted from that. There's talk about the levy. I think it was talked about at our meeting about that levy banking, just to keep TPAC in the loop on all of that. And then the review for TPAC to review the TPAC bylaws regarding member attendance for the February agenda, which it hasn't been, TPAC bylaws haven't been looked at for quite a while. So, and then the next meeting is this Saturday at 9 o'clock.
And that is Andrew and Jerry. Thank you. And also one thing I'd like to put, once again, thank you to TPAC, our wonderful volunteers. And I wanted to just mention, I'm not sure that she actually said it during this meeting or the PMOC, but Sray Mom, one of our TPAC members, volunteered again to go out to businesses and community and get fantastic prizes for egg hunt. So thank you to Sray Mom. Any questions for TPAC? All right, now moving on to PMOC.
Well, whoever did the meeting notes did an excellent job because I just pulled mine out. And they're not nearly as robust. So I'm gonna go for Anastasia.
Because Brad was in.
So thank you, Anastasia. I'll see if I have anything to add to your amazing notes. We did take a look at the egg hunt flyer, and I have copies of the different things, but I don't know what the last one looks like.
We have the official flyer.
Okay, that's all right. Clearly, that's fine. But everybody had input, which I love that you listed all the input. And the spring brochure. And also Anastasia, didn't you bring a poster?
The one at TCC.
Yeah, so she brought the poster for TCC, and after she had to find the display because they hid it.
They hide it this time for me. They moved it to the corner.
So thank you very much for making it more visible. And then we talked about the scholarship funding, and the funding it's going through the end of February, right?
It's just ongoing.
It's ongoing, right? And back to the egg hunt, it's going to be $7. And there's going to be the jelly beans. Di's going to do the jelly beans. Yeah, and Anastasia already explained to us at the last meeting that we had $1,000 donated by one donor, which was amazing for our scholarship funding. And we also talked about, you know, giving people the opportunity to donate whenever, you know, like if we're going to have we talked about a free day of events where we might have water aerobics, free activities, swim lessons, swim section, and the swim-a-thon, which we talked about as far as a fundraiser. And Seattle Synchro might come and do free show, call it maybe Water Day. Oh yes, and I had the brilliant idea of Swim for Funds, which FUN, small ds. So that was genius. I think we should just end the meeting now. So good. And then, you know, anybody who would come that day, they pay admission, but instead of it being admission, would be a donation to the scholarship fund, which is really an excellent idea.
I think so.
Whoever thought of that, brilliant. Sri Mama had a question about, you know, scholarship, and we explained how we've had a Tuckahoe Pool scholarship for quite a while. Also, PMOC talked about Policy 300, the scholarship program. Anastasia did an amazing job with the, I thought, with your application. And you took a lot of feedback, and you did a really excellent job, especially having to work around the fact that, you know, pretty much now schools to offer free lunches and stuff. So, you know, it's not like you can count on the school to give you any information. So, and the next meeting, and you programs, we talked about the fact that the demand for the short films has been insane.
We're sold out short term, long term.
So, and then at that point, Makos were 30, you had 35, and stopped.
I was around registration.
Oh, okay. Well, still excellent, 32 out of 40, which is great. And the next meeting for PMOC is, I can't even believe it's a Saturday. It's a Saturday. Okay. And thank you for the notes. Because these are not. I'll try and do a better
In
job.
combination with Jen's notes.
You guys did great. I really suck, so thank you.
Brad, you were gonna say something?
Oh, just a reminder to committees, staff liaisons and Jen, will be doing notes. In addition to, if you choose to do notes, great. If not, just know we will be there as well to take those notes. So don't feel pressure. If you feel at all, just let us know. And again, we've got your back on that. So thank you, everybody. So Anastasia for programs, and then Jen will support us in TPAC, and then in Anastasia's absence, Jen will support us in PMOC as well from the note-taking side. So just so everyone's aware.
Thank you. That was a fun meeting.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're using that word a lot tonight.
Fun, it was fun.
The more you say it, the more genius it sounds. It's
You can
true.
She's giving you permission.
Yeah.
So
Before we get too far on that, I guess maybe to discuss that on Saturday too, but should we check with like any sort of legal aspect of taking funds for the day and putting it to scholarship versus the daily operations? Like what we have to, how we have to separate that out differently?
So, yeah, great question. Technically, any money we bring in is just money that goes in the general fund. We don't have separate funds for it. It's how we allocate it on paper.
So we can allocate it to fundraising if we choose.
Yes. We don't actually have do we have a budget line? We do have a budget line for fundraising.
Yeah, cash donations.
Yeah, that's right. So that would just show an excess of revenue.
We just have restricted and non-restricted.
Yeah, so people can choose, say they like not for this would, you know, so this would be not where people can say, I want this to go. It's gonna be clear what it's gonna be going for.
It would be like we do a general in our, and we would tell them what would you.
So we just move like from general funds at the end of the day or whenever to scholarship,
It's just on paper.
or
So it would get recorded on the revenue of donations. That's where you'd see it. And then we would just increase the amount of scholarships.
Yeah, so if you guys came in to participate and you said, I'm here to participate in your scholarship drive, I'm going to participate in your swim fund, blah, 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 and you each give $100. There will be a GL set up, a general ledger code, an account code that's set up that points to cash donations for that purpose within our general revenue.
Yeah.
So all that falls in that first section of the general revenue, cash donations. So you can call it scholarships, you can call it fund day, you can call it whatever you want to call it, and you just point your register to that area.
So just to be clear, if let's say we have a fun day on, you know, a Saturday, and I'm coming in and I know that as part of fun day, you're having lap swim. So I want to come in for lap swim. You say, okay, well, today's fun day. So your donation, your entrance, the charge that we normally charge would, like, not that the person would care, is actually gonna be put into cash donation. And so you might, if you did a fun day every day, clearly your lap swim would go from, high amount
Yeah.
revenue to like none, because all of it's being donated to funds.
But what if it's something like somebody comes in on Saturday to do lap swim and they're like, what? And they're just paying with their punch card and they don't actually give any money.
That's a great question. I think that you probably
What
say,
the intention of the event, I think, would be to say clearly that like, when your visit today is your payment, like you're making a payment to the scholarship fund. So even if you have a 10 punch, but we advertise it like a water safety event, for example. Like if one of our lap swimmers came in, they're like, hey, I want to lap swim for your event today. It would not be like a regular lap swim day.
They would probably most likely, we wouldn't take their punch.
Right.
They would pay the drop.
Just like punches aren't
Or they
eligible on
What if
special
they're
event
like, I
days.
don't want to donate to that?
That's fine, we wouldn't.
well, then,
this would
sir,
be a
I
special-
So then they-
suggest you go to Evergreen Pool.
So if I'm hearing correctly, Anastasia, it's a set time, so this, so as long as it's well communicated that punch cards and passes are not gonna be accepted this day is for, raising. So,
And
Cover everything that we're.
I agree.
And if lap swim is usually, $7, if you wanna give, $107.
For $777.
That's exactly, bowling,
I
777.
think this is a really good opportunity, so yes,
This was very like out there conversation. This seems very like we're having this conversation.
you have to think about it, right? You look at our regular usage on a day, and what lap swim community or water walkers are rollers, water aerobics. These are folks that are so committed. I get food issues participate. Indirect way, it's one day to give at a rate. Should you not?
I think it involves, from what we heard in our workshop, involving our water aerobics team as well into the bigger picture, because Teresa and Lori and all of our water aerobics instructors who have such large numbers now, have the ability to advertise this and provide, their class and, educate their participants. Because they have like fun hat day and like things like that. So like they all get the message. So I think it's just a matter of advertising, really pushing it, and having them advertise within their communities, be like, hey, come on this day, your visit today, you're paying for your visit. Even though we know they're on a healthcare, but they want to come and pay for their visit because they want to donate to our scholarship fund. I mean, it's just a $5.75 admission, so for them, it's just $5 a person, right?
They're spending it on all this, so.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, if it's kind of like I guess maybe if it's like, we're donating, that, can we actually have a set price on that donation? Or if we have a suggested donation would be the usual price of drop in. But if you want to pay more, you can, or if you won't pay anything at all.
I think we could
you
discuss
can.
this more at Piedmont this coming Saturday. I don't
Good thought.
want to. Yeah.
No, really, it
Definitely,
is.
yeah.
For some people, if it is donation. So yeah, let's talk
I just
about
think there's
that.
like some like.
Yeah, no, I
with
think
the
we talk
wording,
about
we
it.
can-
Make sure it's well communicated and expectations are well understood. Thank you, Aaron. What color are you again? No. Green, yeah. Thinking it out very clearly, I appreciate that. Yeah, that one over there was red, right? That's awesome. Great conversation. Any other questions for PMOC? Once again, it'll be this Saturday.
This Saturday. Donations required.
And it's in the executive boardroom again,
Which used to be the computer lab.
which actually used to be their senior room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they had computers.
SUNT.
Small.
Small.
DS.
Small, yeah.
Maybe
I heard
small
that.
S, like-
Yeah, that's why I can see the S with the dollar sign.
Oh, that's cute. Love it. Love the dollar sign. I'd say do a cent sign, but I understand that getting
What's a
away
cent
with
sign?
pennies.
Penny. It's a penny.
So there's like a
Okay,
five.
moving on to
10.
feasibility. Oh, that's neat. Yeah, so we met on the 20th, and We talked about the lease status update and the location needs. We looked into just more research, just for more information. A lot of the focus was on the grant writer and trying to figure out to maybe choose one. We've looked at some options, and as you know, we looked at this Frozen Consulting. I just wanted to, I know that the finance committee knew, but it's a smaller company. They've had experience with federal grants. They've had experience preparing grant proposals that benefit low-income individuals, basic human needs, health and public health, education, workforce, et cetera. They were actually founding members of the Puget Sound Grant Writers Association. They've worked with dozens of nonprofit organizations, government agencies, public-private partnerships, which include like the YWCA, the Greater Maple Valley Community Center, Communities and Schools, Metro Parks, Northwest Trek Foundation, Point Defiance Zoo, Woodland Park Zoo, American Red Cross. So a real variety of experience. Talking with them, there's what they listed their skills for success are high level critical thinking skills, organizational skills, very strong research skills and editing skills, excellent coaching and teaching skills, outstanding attention to detail, ability to successfully meet deadlines, unwavering adherence for professional and personal ethics. And after meeting with them, that's the parts that struck me were the being able to meet deadlines. They were very straightforward, like this is the March 31st, we do a work back schedule, and I really appreciated that part. Also familiar with the area. Also, is kind of interesting is it's a mother-son team. The son was lives in the Rainier Beach, very familiar with the Rainier Beach pool, young family, and the demographics. And the mom was, she'd been doing this for 35 years. And so when she was in high school, she was a WSR and a lifeguard. So very, something that we were something that they were interested. Brad, what do you say?
No, you said it well. I agree. They were just a good group. I think the biggest thing for me outside the work back schedule was just the transparency of the fact that this is a big lift for our first time. And so managing the expectations for time and the delivering the content they need to process and to write. And so there'll be a big ask from the organization to make sure we're turning over all our task grants so we get a sense of how we did. Our last grant report card from King County and some other information so they can really start wrapping their brain around how to best support us in telling that story to support the King County Aquatics grant. And so I think they're a very experienced team between the two of them. I think it's 30, 40 years of knowledge, 10 years with the son and another 20 plus with mom. So and they're successful in their work. So they've received grants that they've written requests for. So I think this will be a really good adventure for us. And I say adventure because it's going to be eye-opening. And it should open the door for our future grant needs if this partnership and relationship works the way that we anticipate it. And she was clear, this first one's a heavy lift, but once we get done with the homework, we'll know a lot about the organization, and next grants are really just digging into the key components of what you're seeking. So overall, really excited to see us get started and to start putting our best foot forward for this upcoming aquatics facilities grant.
Yeah, and I appreciated, she was very down to earth, saying, my job is to nag you. Mm-hmm. And I like that because, I want people who are not afraid to say, look, I need this, and to follow up. So that was the impression I got, that we're going to be nagged, and that's a good thing. We're a small organization, and, but that also knowing that, I know we're all going to be respectful of the fact that it is a heavy lift for the organization for the next couple of months. So if some things don't necessarily, some things get less important, things get put on the side, this is the priority right now. So I know people appreciate that.
Outside of typical business, we won't stop paying bills.
And we're asking for
sorry.
So what do we want to do with the $5 million?
So it will go to the project. So, you know, it can be used for any and all aspects of the project, everything from design to property acquisition if necessary, or property costs, as well as construction. It's a 25% match. So $20 million project would be full 5 million. And so our project, our expected is going to exceed 20 million. That's why we're asking for 5 million.
And so early estimate, there's about 7.4 million. And that's just an early estimate that's led to believe individuals on the Aquatics Coalition meeting that there may be more that may not be discussed at this point in time because they know how much there was and how much was allocated. This is an individual who sits on the advisory board. So 7 million is what's believed to be available currently.
That is the
but there
minimum.
Could be additional.
But we can only ask for 5.
Yeah.
And then that means that we have to spend 20.
If we were to get the full match, yeah.
Okay. And
So
how
if
long do we
we-
have to, how long do we have to?
All details I have no answer to
Okay.
until we get into the award process.
However, to be perfectly transparent, they also understand that it's designed for these kind of projects are not overnight projects. It's not like a feasibility study that can be completed in a year. They're very they know that this is a big project with government agencies that aren't known to move at lightning speed.
Okay.
So that's, and even with our previous King County grants, that were more like the bulkhead or whatever, the timing was not the concern. They understand that it takes time.
And this will be the most competitive
Yeah.
final year, just so everybody's.
Oh, this
aware.
is the final year.
This is the
Okay.
final year of this pool of money in the 5-year parks levy fund that was approved by the voters. And so this last year of this request. And so this will be a very competitive year, whether it be strategically that organizations chose not to apply last year until the last bit to get things vetted, their final project wish lists and budgets. So we just know that this will be a competitive year for grants. So I would not be surprised if we see a high request in terms of applicants for the cities.
However, you know, that being said, there is also not, because of COVID, because of a lot of the economy and everything, there aren't a lot of big organizations, places that are going for major renovations just because of what's, you know, the voters not wanting to, fear of what the voters are going to approve or not approve. So there's not the volume as if it were in a really good economy, like, you know, people are a little cautious right now. So yeah, so we just haven't seen the number of projects on the pipeline. We've seen projects coming and going. You started to hear of maybe Shoreline, maybe revisiting that thing,
Yeah, it's the standard
but there's
version.
early process.
Yeah, Covington, Sideview, Seattle, Bellevue. These are the ones that are actively working on, and a number of others, but those are the big ones in our immediate area that are actively working on pool projects and will most likely be chasing some of the King County funds in this last year. All the other smaller projects, those are all, let's start the discussion, let's get in the pipeline, let's start getting with our community. Shoreline demolished their forward trust pool a number of years ago during the pandemic because their voters did not approve. So they ended up scrapping their project. It's through this meeting that I sat in, it looks like they may want to start exploring their project, but it won't have any bearing on what we're getting ready to put a grant request in for. And other projects that are just in the beginning discussion stages. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we also discussed at that meeting the importance of continuing to engage and educate the community. So hopefully we're looking at like some kind of quarterly engagement of some kind. So to keep that process in the community knowing where we are, what we're doing. So it's, you know, so as much as we can, we know that's a little challenging with our community to get engagement, but we're going to try a variety of things, but we have an intentional agenda item to make sure that once a quarter we're going to engage. That is, we haven't actually set the next meeting date. I need to talk to about that. May not, where normally we would have it on, what would be President's Day. I may have to push that till Tuesday. I'll let everyone know. I may not be, I may be working out of town that day. So, and our meetings are at 4:30.
So I just want to quickly jump in because it's not often we have additional folks at the table, but Erin, thank you.
Yeah, oh, I'm
for-
sorry, yes.
Yes, I just want to make sure that Erin knows that Vanessa and I really did appreciate the input, the conversation, the participation that came along with that as we were meeting at our last meeting.
Yeah, no, really, thank you, Brad. I appreciate you bringing that up. Great having you there. And I know we sucked you in longer than you were expecting to be there, but
Signing up on a
I was.
hardly.
So, yeah, it's always interesting. But yes, thank you. All right, next agenda item is a business item of the business item 8A annual operation deposit account. Sorry, was there any questions for us? I'm sure you would have asked it if there was. Okay. 8A, an annual operation deposit account fund transfer, Brad.
Yeah, standard item each year. Year end, we typically will reconcile 2024. Typically, we'll go through a budget report, which will come out in March, but this year, it's anticipated at year end, we would have a net surplus of revenue of $473,156.86. So we typically ask board approval to transfer these funds into two of our accounts out of our general deposit account, which is where we keep our day-to-day monies. We typically request a transfer to cover our purchasing cards, which would be the organization credit card, as well as a transfer specifically to our King County Fund, which is our general fund and interest-bearing fund. This request really tonight is seeking approval to transfer $70,000 to our regular checking account. And then the second transfer of $403,000 to our King County Fund interest-bearing fund, where we can start taking advantage of our interest earnings.
What's our interest rate?
That I don't know. I didn't dig into that. But I can't tell you this year we made just about $100,000 between both our interest lines.
100,000,
On our
In
monies.
interest,
yeah, just between CIP and general fund.
but how much do we have in our TIP? Or CIP?
700 and,
I mean, I'm just curious if it would be prudent to consider moving some of the CIP money into something, if it could pay more interest.
I see.
Yeah, so it's
Like
a,
money market.
like, it's a
It's
managed fund through King County. So it's, I mean, it's the safe, easy place, but yeah, I haven't looked lately what the interest rate is.
I think it's an Alan Vance question.
Well, actually, no, we can look at the monthly statements that come from King County. It says it right on it.
No,
Well,
the
that-
interest rate, but to Alan's point, is there another vehicle? which
Would
we
anybody
grow?
recommend that we do that? And no, it's not like somebody selling timeshares.
Right, but I think.
Right.
I mean, clearly
Alan
you
Vance
want something where the money would be safe.
question.
Like, I think Andrew and Aaron have this big opportunity. No, I mean,
Yes,
you know,
this
I
is very
don't
safe
know.
where it is.
But I just wonder, I'm just curious.
We've come such a long way then from when we had a situation where we didn't get interest on any of our money.
No, because
Yes.
yes,
So we've
yes, we
now-
have come a long way.
We've now,
But I mean, as we're thinking about how much money we're
Right.
gonna
I
be
like the
spending.
curiosity.
no, I do
And think
too.
It's a smart, and we don't typically talk about our long-term financial planning, right? We talk about we're in a safe space, which I get, and it's great to have protected money, but it's a great curiosity question, and I think Alan Vance may be somebody who just want to answer the question, the curiosity.
I mean,
Is there-
it's great we have someplace to throw it, and it's
Yeah.
great that it gets interest. It's just, maybe next year we could put it in something, or if we get $5 million, maybe, I don't, again,
So
Yeah, this
those
place
monies-
for government.
Those
funds.
monies you cannot
Okay, yeah, I'm sure you can't.
Yeah, the grant monies are strictly grant monies, and I don't believe you can. move
Like bond
those.
monies, you can't either,
Right.
that has to
But
stay.
these
But
are
on
our,
general fund money,
Yeah.
as your curiosity.
General
question,
fund
I
and-
think it's smart to know.
General fund and CIP fund.
So I can come back through just a separate email, I will answer the interest rate question for everybody. Because that is also a great question that I have not statement for that yet, but I will for you. And so I go back, any other questions, actually, discussions?
I mean, this is probably gonna be stupid, but what about the extra $156.86?
yeah, what happened to the 156?
Whoa!
Was that part of a fee that we ended up paying?
That is gonna sit in the general operations fund. where we
That's
It was a rounding thing.
So,
Just a double check. There's one under,
I thought that was, like maybe, Brad had to give a little bit of something for doing all the work.
yeah,
To be clear,
Taste.
no, he
No,
doesn't.
No.
I was just kidding, Mr. Owl, that was not serious.
No, it's just a rounding thing, just to get friendly numbers.
And it's good just to leave a little bit in our deposit account if we need to make a change or pull something out.
Well, yeah, but also there's more in the deposit account because that was as of 12/31, so there's been more money deposited since then. So that's why it is pretty close to what it is on the balance sheet of 12/31. Because we have January's deposits, and SAJ is doing an excellent job at programming. Lessons and stuff.
All right, so
Looking for a motion.
yeah, turn it back over.
I make a motion that we approve the transfer of funds.
Second.
Minus the
As
dollar
presented,
156.
or as presented.
As presented,
In second.
as presented in the wonderful packet that we received.
Any discussion on this transfer? None, all those in favor of motion as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, moving on to policy approval, policy 300. Anastasia, the scholarship. All
It's
the
been a while. It's been a while since we looked at this. So I could, just for context, I cannot find the original like word, so that's why it's not redlined. So this is just our scholarship policy. This is how we vet scholarship applications, how we receive scholarship applications. And it also describes our Tukwila Resident Scholarship Fund. So the bigger changes that happened on this policy compared to the first one, we removed the free reduced lunch verification that was on the original application. But it will now include things like supplemental nutritional assistance, security income, and other DSHS programs, and any other documents that may be eligible for that. And then the other addition was the deadline of submission for the application must be submitted 2 weeks prior to the first day of Tukwila resident lesson registration. This allows the person responsible for processing those applications enough time to vet the applications and do the back and forth dance of getting the applications corrected. So, and then the last piece is also removing the Highline School District. That was a big piece on there. That has been removed and it is now Tukwila School District. So Tukwila School District students are still eligible to receive the Tukwila resident scholarship. So those are the big major changes. Nothing else has really changed.
Sorry, just the kids who live in Tukwila, isn't it kids? So just why I didn't pick up on that. So kids who live in Tukwila who go to Highline still can apply for this, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you just removed that free lunch piece about Highline right here,
In
yeah.
the original, it said kids in Tukwila and Highline School District would
I
qualify
see
for
what you're
Tukwila
saying.
resident
Yeah.
scholarship. So, but yes, if they live in Highline, they can still.
They live in Tukwila,
Oh,
but they
sorry, they live
happen
in
to go to
Tukwila,
Highline,
yes.
yeah.
As long as they either live in Tukwila or attend a school in Tukwila, they are eligible for a.
That's the way I read it, I was just making sure I didn't miss
Yeah.
it.
The allocations have not changed, and the percentages, and the HUD income guidelines, were just, the verbiage is cleaned up there, but that has not changed, that is still how I determine eligibility. So I'm looking for the board to, approve as presented. Any questions or discussion from you?
Just a housekeeping thing, if, just make sure that we drop it into the same template as the other ones that's got like the board review. If you just literally change the page, it's just got the date of the board review. Sorry, I should pick this up the other time. And just so it matches our other policies.
I mean, like, are you talking
Oh, on
about
the
this
very
bottom?
bottom.
Yeah, there's a
Yes,
bottom,
yes.
and I love that you've got Tukwila Pool Metropolitan Park District in the top corner, but if, like, they should all be consistent, all of our policies, so,
We should all have the logo.
yeah, either they all have a logo or they don't, right?
Well, we're reviewing a lot of policies, so, yes, yeah.
So just for consistency, just make sure that we've got this, but the main one I had was about the board adopted date at the bottom, so. And same font and stuff, just make sure the font is consistent. It's just housekeeping. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve policy.
Did we make a motion to approve the policy as needs to be edited? Because this is way different font,
Okay, that's like housekeeping changes, that doesn't need,
so it doesn't need to
no,
be.
that can be done without a motion, just a
Okay.
motion, this is content substitute.
Okay, then I make such a motion to approve the content of policy 300 scholarship program as presented.
I second.
Any discussion on policy 300?
Anastasia, this will go, it's more open for discussion.
Yep.
I just wanted to, I know we'll discuss further, this goes on the website, this one lesson section of scholarship, as people will know, right? This will be updated across all areas.
It is, the scholarship application is reflective of the policy, so
Yeah,
everything is duplicated from the policy on the application.
excellent. Thank you for all the work on this, really appreciate it. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving policy 300 content, say aye.
I,
All those opposed? Passed. Good job.
Here.
Moving on to policy approval, and these are just policy 535, 545, 550, and 580. Finance committee updates. Jerry.
Like I mentioned earlier, your red line versus in here, we just changed director of products operations, district administrator to executive director. On all policies noted throughout. Policy 545 had it in a couple other places, but now it just says executive director ED all out. Like I said, these were all approved in July. So there's just a minor housekeeping update.
And for procedure notation and minor updates are not needed to go to WCIA, the attorney, and TPAC because there's were no changes other than
They
simply
already
an
have
ED. Yeah, changing to update for ED. For policy procedures. So
do you have to do them all separately?
I don't know, what do people think? Do I have to do them all separately or can I do a group batch?
We could do-
Normally, if there's no
It's a
content.
business item, it's one lump sum.
Yes, there's no additional content for each one, so we're not approving anything other that's similar things, so,
Right. I said group.
okay, all right.
I make a motion that we approve the changes as prescribed for policies 535, 545, policy 550, and policy 580.
I second the motion.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just one housekeeping, and I totally skipped it, down, so my apologies on my review. Policy 535. I'm sorry, policy 545, section 2.2. After executive director, we just want to put in brackets ED, since we're referencing ED, 2, 3, 3, 1, and 4, 1 as an abbreviation.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. Sorry, sometimes we do our best review and we'll all just. It's quiet. It feels good. You see that, Jerry?
2.2,
2.2, I see is executive director of the ED after it. And her board designee, what are you talking?
That's-
We talked about this.
we did talk about it.
And I thought it
Oh,
was.
we did correct. My apologies. I was noticing the red line version.
Yeah, I'm
It's
looking at the red
corrected
line
on the
version.
clean line. My
Yeah.
apologies.
Okay, because I thought we already addressed that.
Yeah, that's what I remembered at the meeting too. Okay,
Thank
so
you,
no need.
My apologies.
So the
Disregard.
The red line was just an older red line.
Yeah, disregard, please, disregard.
Okay,
That's deja vu.
are we voting?
Yeah, any other discussion on any of these policies? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the motion as stated, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Moving forward. Legislative updates. Jen,
Yeah, first of all, moving forward, none of, this will all be informational memos. It will match everything else in the packet, so this will not burn your eyes ever again. I've been following the bills. There are several, they're not gonna have a lot of impact on us currently right now. There's two to maybe keep an eye on. One very positive, it's Bill 1057. They're trying to promote local development and encourage economic growth and an opportunity through grants. So they're gonna build that up in their offices a little bit more, and hopefully that will trickle down a bit. But I'm gonna follow this one, and I would expect that you'll probably getting calls to people that will want you to testify or be in favor of, maybe not testify, but in favor or not in favor. I don't know, have you experienced that before?
No.
not usually, they don't really.
They don't call.
They don't bother
us. Okay, so I won't forward them on then unless you want me to. One of the bills that is going to affect us positively, but financially as well, will be SB 5098, which is going to restrict the possession of weapons in any local building. Most of that'll be signage issues. Signage that we'll have to deal with. We already don't allow it, so it's not going to change much of our policies, but we'll have to create policies around it. There's little to no impact on several other ones right now. So that's where we're kind of at with those bills currently.
So Jen, I saw one more that was coming through our desk. It might be after you did all this, and that was a House Bill 1334, and that was modifying the annual regular property tax revenue growth limit.
Right.
The raise it where they're hoping to raise the property tax from 1% to 3%.
I think they were, but I think a lot of this has been shut down. I'm gonna have to verify. Let me check on that one for you again.
Because I know they asked, that was one they definitely sent an email out asking for testimony or to show or support on it. I think it's an interesting thing. I don't know much about. I read the bill and I can see what they're trying to do. It's just interesting with this history of the 1% in Washington State. That was one of Iman's original things. So I just think it's interesting. They're trying to, again, go up to 3%. They've tried this before and
It continues to not move forward because.
yeah, so just in a nutshell, where this impacts us the most is our bank's capacity. So it can grow at 3% and not 1%. So that's.
Not to speak out of turn, but you've got the governor saying there's no way right now that they will not increase anything. So, I mean, this is going to be something that we will have to follow closely.
Is it just one of those bills that just show up every year that go nowhere?
I don't know, this one, they're asking, they sent an email, WPRA sent out an email wanting people to sign up for support.
Oh, wow.
And
It will be
we,
supported by organizations that rely on a tax fund,
Mhm.
but it will struggle with homeowners and those that actually vote it, right? Because nobody wants to see their property taxes increase at a level at which no one's accustomed to and haven't been in, God, I don't know how many years. And this has come up many times.
yeah, so that, I thought that was interesting that it seemed to have more momentum than it, do you remember Jerry in the past? Like, it doesn't seem every year.
Yeah, this doesn't seem to be every year.
Yeah.
This one has been.
But it also, like, we don't get asks every year
No,
to
this one is.
testify, so I think they're hoping, but once again, I don't see a partner Senate bill, like the ones that really they want to push through. You see that partner Senate bill,
Right.
Senate bill, House bill, so I don't see that, but Anyway, just, sorry, I didn't mean to jump on that. I just
No,
thought it was
no, it's good.
interesting.
So what was the number? I'm sorry.
House Bill 1334, yeah. Look at you got it off memory. What a star.
And we just got another report in this afternoon, so I'll be reviewing that as well. And then I'll keep you updated on any of that.
Thank you.
Thanks, really good information.
So just,
Any other questions about legislative updates?
When does the legislative session end? April?
30th, I think.
Yeah, it's really quick. It's like they come in and just stir up all sorts of trouble and then leave.
Unless they need to extend it.
It's just all starting.
Right.
And then it depends, every 2 years, one's longer than the other.
Oh, okay.
So there's more stuff on other ones. But- Okay, moving on to business item 8E, which is also Jen. Elections.
the 2025 election, candidate filing will be coming up for that in May. It'll be May 5th through the 9th. It is for 2 seats. It'll be position 3 and 4, currently held by our incumbents Andrew Stahl and Jerry Frangillo Anderson.
There's a note on that, but you have any still.
Oh, there's an I missing from Jerry.
Yeah, thank you.
We're not gonna do that.
Oh, you're, no, sorry, you have to stay, there's a technicality, so you're here forever.
It's completely intentional, so that you can't leave when your ballot stays. Okay.
If you start with her last name, it'll take a while.
The duties and the demand of this is that you serve at large and you have to represent the Tukwila residents. Of course, the meetings that you're required to attend, but the eligibility is that you have to be a registered voter and a resident of Tukwila, which everybody here knows and is. They're really asking everybody who does file for candidate filing to do it online. It's much easier that way. But taking away from everybody who's not incumbent who may be filing, it's also a great opportunity for me to point out to all of our incumbents that we have the Washington Public Disclosure Commission, and we have your forms that are due to fill out coming up April 15th, kind of like tax day. So I've attached that, and there's some links for you to hit. If there's anything that you need from me, I'd love to help you, and that's it.
Do you need us to tell you when we're done?
No, I will tell you, though, that I did get an email from the Washington Public Disclosure Commission and from King County today. It's kind of twofold, but basically on, is everybody still in their positions? So they know
Yeah.
that you're all active in your seats, and so they'll expect those from you, incumbents and candidates. Sorry, I can't lie. And that's that.
Thank you. This is always great to put this out there for the public, to let everyone know.
Yes.
The opportunities. And,
I'm huge on that, so.
is there any questions or comments regarding this? Great, thank you. Moving on to, one other thing, just while I'm thinking of it, and I probably should send it you, but I'm not going to, is the status of the commissioners on their OPMA.
We did it last year.
We did, no, but not all of us, right? It was. think
I know, I
it's-
did.
Yeah, so it's staggered, so we need to, if we can dig into finding
Yes.
those records of where we are all at, because we do kind of count on.
Or did you guys pick?
I believe they are, because we got different terms, so maybe not, maybe it is, because we all did it originally.
Yeah, you might be right.
Anyway, just to keep us, because, yeah, we're supposed to give you guys a copy of the certificate when we're done with those online.
I will have that out to you by Wednesday. Who needs them?
Yeah, it's not, I just suddenly thought of that and I'd forgotten, it was on my mind to
It's almost
mention.
like it's every year, is it the other
No,
year?
it's, I want to say like 4 years, is it? seem that
I do
way?
not remember. I just know I
I
did
think
it
I just
last
did
year.
mine last year, but I thought it was like every 2 years.
2
Oh,
years,
I
maybe
did
2 or
mine
4.
last year too.
Okay,
Well,
Anyway,
anyway, look it up.
Just need to find out, yeah, because I know that I wanted to buy.
yeah, so that's the OPMA, and there's just an online training, and then you print out your certificate at the end.
Yeah, I was reviewing that. So yes, I will let you guys
So
know.
there should be some kind of track of who's got what. Okay. Moving on to miscellaneous. You got your hand up again?
Maybe, I don't know. I just had something down here. This was from Brad, and I guess maybe for cool stuff. So, did you get any calls today after our whole discussion with TPSD about the lockdown at the middle school today?
Not that I'm aware of.
There was a lockdown?
Yeah, for a little while.
Like from 7:35 to like 8:20 or something.
Yeah, it's like an hour.
Interesting. So, but anyways, just again,
No, that's good. I'll circle back.
information that was not passed along.
Yeah, I'll circle back to school.
I don't, so the middle school was locked down, and I believe that when that happens at the school district, they won't lock down other schools unless they need to. And so like, I don't even think the other schools are,
Better than the high school.
I don't think they're told.
So it seems like it's situational and proximity.
It's totally situational.
Proximity, maybe.
Well, there was a post on social media
Yeah,
that
Oh,
caused
okay.
lockdown.
yeah, there was a threatening post. And so they locked it down to, investigate.
When you said social media, what channel?
Oh, I'm looking through the thing that
Text messages that
sent us for the school, it's just that social media, there was a social media post that they wanted to investigate.
Jerry, did you see any on the Facebook post? No.
No, we'll
I
just
think
circle
that
back.
they should be given that information out.
So that is, so great comment.
I
Aaron.
only know because my kid goes.
Right.
But
I only got text messages.
That is actually something we had asked for at our October quarterly meeting. So when Brad was gonna be sending a follow-up on our TSD meeting next couple days here, it was to make sure that,
It's part of our
yeah, so,
reinforcement of needs.
They came up at the last meeting, too, this last one, we
Yeah.
talked about it again.
yeah. Okay.
I mean, and then maybe it came up on their end for, at the TSB board meeting. So,
Mhm.
So you both received it because you both have kids at Showalter?
but Sharon didn't.
Sharon did
okay.
not.
So
Interesting.
she didn't find out till end of May.
Oh, great.
That's curious.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna figure out what messaging symbols.
But they probably go by enrollment information. I don't know. But that would be interesting, because it would be great to get the pool in that, as kind of
Just like
a,
in the text messaging chains.
We,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was something.
But like, so this one was specifically only from the middle school, though, it goes from Perez, and that was it. So
Right.
it wasn't like a district.
right, no,
When it got sent out.
right. Like, I'm sure when Foster was locked down, I'm sure you didn't get an email about that. Oh, well, actually,
Yeah, because they closed down the middle school too.
yeah, they did close down the middle school. But when they locked down Tukwila Elementary or any of the other L's, you're not gonna get anything unless you have a kid at that.
But again, proximity, ooh, in between two buildings.
No, it makes sense.
Like I said, I don't know, maybe it's just like maybe student like Brad reaching out to like the principal of the high school and the principal of the middle school, just to see if we can get onto like that email list. If it's not gonna happen via higher.
The higher.
No, it will. It's gonna go through our superintendent. We've explicitly been asked to communicate through our superintendent based on needs. She will filter through literally the board and or other powers to be, but we will communicate with Dr. Kasi Pedroza with our follow-up. In addition, with our emergency contact information, should they be able to get us on the communication chain. This is definitely a discussion that's been had multiple times. And our recent discussion seems to be the most productive and the most positive discussion in terms of folks responding and being open to channels of communication and working. So I think we'll find some positive avenues in addressing this. Whether that goes to the pool phone as a notification and or a different way of reaching staff, whether that be through email. I don't know, is it only text, or we'll have to ask them what their communication channels are, where they push that notification out.
And then along with that, if you do start getting notifications, you know, that we do have everything trained up for policy, or not necessarily policy, but procedure that we're gonna do for when those we come in. So we're not just asking for stuff that we're not gonna put to use.
Have you had any opportunity to talk to the staff regarding what should they do? What steps should they take? Should ICE come to the pool?
With management team, yes, and also just reinforce with our superintendent was very appreciative that she included this in the language, as we often many times align with the school district based on decisions they make. And so great dialogue there. With our staff, yes, in terms of our managers, which will filter to each of their areas appropriately. But yeah, it's a discussion where we will never, regardless of who, give out personal information at all. And again, I think it's helpful that we've started staffing our front desk to always have a presence to start being that gatekeeper. And so that's a nice piece as well. I mean, you were in today and they come back now, well, hey, someone wants to talk to you. And it's like, oh, great, we have people present, whether it's our managers or our front desk staff, starting to become that first line of customer service, but also letting us know pretty quickly if it's a bigger situation. So should it be ICE or law enforcement or anything, we give out no personal information, and nor will we share any information of who's in the building and for what purpose.
Can I just be worried about if we have any younger people who might appear like they're foreign born or something? I would hate for them to feel unsafe or threatened.
Oh, absolutely. But that brings us to a discussion as we had at leadership. Does the Tuckahoe Pool see the need to adopt policy around this topic, which we don't currently have?
Yeah, I think it's always a fluid situation, so that the fear about changing about policy versus following the law. So we've always taken the stance of we follow the law. And, you know, versus creating policy where if law changes, then we're in a situation where it's, you know, we need to be fluid, but as the law changes, we adapt and follow the law.
We don't want to explore policy.
Well, we can. Let's talk about it leadership. I'm just saying that's what the precedence has been when it comes with different things that have come forward. It's a challenge when you've got policy and your law is changing, you know, frequently.
Absolutely. I think my challenge, and I think at leadership, it'll be a discussion around reinforcing policy with the staff community explicitly says we will not do X, Y, and Z. Staff need to follow policy, but if staff break policy or guidance from management because there's no policy in place and choose to share because they disagree or agree with what's happening in the community, they can give out anything and we wouldn't know. And you've got law enforcement and ICE coming in the building because somebody says, I don't agree with that. So yeah, you can have whatever you want because they align with the messaging. And so I've been thinking through this weekend that policy may be something we want to explore even in the interim. And maybe it's just a policy through X until we really, I don't know.
Yeah, let's talk about it because it may be a bigger conversation. You know, regarding even disclosing information generally, more generally, if someone comes in asking for information about someone, not ICE, let's just say there's a dad, you know, coming in wanting information about a kid, trying to see when they're in the building or not, you know, I mean, I'm looking at a bigger picture.
If there's a broad way to spell it out, absolutely. But at the end of the day, who we serve and how we serve, I align with the school district's messaging because again, it's the very community we serve reflects Tukwila and the climate in which we're experiencing. And I would like to reassure folks if it ever does come up, how are we ensuring that our customer information from a broad level is not being shared.
And I just want to bring up that Chris Rydell came out with a statement, a policy, and then a few days later, he had to do some clarification. So I just think it's super important to know what, as far as what is the requirement, because we certainly don't want to break the law.
Correct.
So that's, but like I said, on a bigger level, what does that look like? So, yeah,
Right,
we'll look at it.
I do think, broadening that question more like with Brad said, just giving any information out on employees. Or even if it's like, like somebody that's coming from a battered home.
That's
or,
what I mean,
you know,
that's what I'm
right,
getting at.
Or it's
That's where I
like,
was.
I think that we could like have that policy of like, we don't give any information at all,
Right.
Unless, like I said, who can come in and ask
Right,
information,
that's-
who's just gonna give it. Even if it's like, well, what's their schedule? When are they gonna be here next time?
Well,
That's
that-
what- see, that's where I'm
that
at.
shouldn't
Yeah,
be
disclose that.
General
Only
information.
provide if they have a court order.
Somewhere,
Well,
like I said,
subpoena.
what's their
Or
work
put in,
schedule?
or
Or can I,
request.
is so-and-so,
Yeah.
oh, my kid's in here, can I just confirm whether or not they're here Monday, Wednesdays, or Tuesday, Thursdays?
I want to just quickly say, I agree with everything, and I'm glad we're having this discussion, well, prior to leadership, I do think it's
Yeah.
important. But this isn't just about our staff, it's about everybody.
No, I was talking about the
Okay.
kids in the class,
Gotcha, yeah.
like just
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
trying to maybe
Anybody
get
that walks
a
through that
child.
door.
There's
Right.
always domestic
Yeah.
abuse kind of things that come up with people wanting to get
or
information.
trying to abduct one of
Right.
I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the bigger picture, I mean,
Mhm.
that's
Well, the
exactly.
question does come up frequently, working the desk. I want to confirm what time my kid is registered for class, but it's hard because
So that's where you send an email to the email on that's registered, right?
that is hard because
Yeah.
it could be a parent who's like, well, I just registered, can you confirm with me what time, because I forgot. And so
I know,
it's a really hard question. There has to be, if we do adopt a policy or work on a policy, I think
it'll be with all of your input.
it will proceed, because that's the question I get all the time, is like, can you confirm with me?
I can
Right.
totally see that.
And Anastasia might not know that, it's the dad calling her saying that, but the dad has got a court order against him from contacting his kid and his
Yeah,
wife.
because we don't know,
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
vet it,
Exactly.
so I think we need a procedure on what that, if it means I'm gonna email the confirmation
To the email on file, that's what I would,
Right.
just when I'm talking out loud, is
So, not in the interest of
Yes,
time of
yes.
discussion, so, and then you said it very clearly, leadership meeting, it sounds like we need to discuss this a little bit further, and really explore kind of what this needs to look like. Whether it's a broad policy in terms of information sharing regardless of the situation or the political climate, right?
Yeah.
It may just be broad, so, yeah, we can discuss this further.
all right, does anyone else have anything for leadership? I've got a couple things really quickly though.
So,
No,
Of course.
I'm
Yep.
I don't want to.
No, go ahead.
And this is maybe, like I said, I didn't check my emails, possibilities yet, but there was a public record request
Oh, yeah,
came through, is there, what that was, because it looked like it was just like dates.
they asked how many and who filed public records requests. between
And we
some
had
dates.
none. We had no public
None.
records.
Oh, so
That
they were
was
just
requested-
asking a public records request for
Public
how many?
record.
For the year
records?
of 2024.
Is that the one that often, you may not know that, there's someone,
And-
there's a company, there's an individual who does it.
There's a couple companies that do that, and they're like, oh, but this is what you should be doing, and this is how you're
Okay.
illegally, it's a phishing scam to get us to
Yeah.
buy their,
Product.
yeah. There's
So
many
do
of
you
them
buy
coming
it?
in. Well, I've got like 20 other ones I want to buy first, so we'll talk about those.
Well, there's also people that do that type of stuff too, so that they can see you if you do not answer. them.
Well, and that's
Yes.
another thing that
Yeah.
that's something that I've spoken with Brad about past experiences I've had here in Washington with some of these groups and what they're trying to do, so I'm comfortable with
There's
them.
5 groups in Seattle, they'll do that, like to do that.
Yeah.
Yes,
So just, I'm just gonna say really quickly, as Jerry mentioned, the IT policy that came up at finance, and I just want to let Andrew know that the plan is to add it to the second quarter work plan, and we may be looking to you for some maybe help to do some review on that.
I think Jennifer's already started digging in. just
Okay,
to add
all
more
right.
fast,
Yeah.
and has already started
Okay,
identifying policies across Washington, how they relate.
Awesome.
And so we'll have some pretty good examples and drafts of things that might align with us as an
Yes.
organization.
Yeah.
To enhance our current policy.
and I did go ahead and I sent you the policy
Yeah,
today.
sure.
Yeah,
okay, perfect. And just a quick recap on couple other things. regarding the TSD. Ellen alluded to it earlier, and one of the things we provided to the TSD is we thought it would be really helpful to have a visual of what another organization might look like, with a lease, a lease with a government agency, with a school district. So we found a example of just a couple of years, maybe 3 years ago, from the city of Renton, the school district of Renton's land they were leasing to the city of Renton for a health wellness facility. It's a health point deal. And so very like apples to apples. And we provided that as a visual just now, because a lot of the annexes we all know is the right to recapture. And I'm gonna be really clear, anything we talk about regarding other than informational, when we start talking about lease, if we want to talk about lease in depth, we need to go into executive session, because we don't want to put ourselves in a position where, you know, the cost changes because of the discussion we have.
Right.
But I'm just giving informational pieces right now. And it's something, so this particular lease showed a right to recapture, where if it's done in the first 10 years, they would have to repay all hard and soft costs. If it was after 10 years, there would be 2 audits.
The school district would have to
Yes.
pay the leasee
Hmm.
the amount of money the leasee just invested in the
All hard and soft.
property.
So that's the right to recapture. And anyway, so it was just, we provided it as an example of something that's very relevant.
And recent,
Recent. So,
and that was appreciated, I understand.
It was.
yeah.
Oh, they were very much appreciated. It's a good example that I think gives them maybe a roadmap and an avenue to kind of creatively discuss what this looks like.
Yeah, whether this was just for visuals
Mhm.
because it seemed like there was some angst on the school district's part of not really understanding what that looks like. We also reference and you know, the current TSD city leases that were all executed about 3 years ago, newly Reverton Foster Memorial and Duwamish. So we reference those, which are 30-year leases.
And just so we're clear, and this is good information to know, not to drag this out. I have reminded myself after this last meeting that it was good to hear that the school district is in a position that they want to review all their leases and make a better informed decision on lease and lease costs in terms of what they pass to the leasee or what they're requiring of the leasee for the land. So it doesn't seem like it's just the Tuckwell pool that's taking the brunt of this.
Well, we don't
discussion
know that for
or
sure,
future.
but we
I think
appreciate it.
The tone and the direction at least supported that they're potentially looking to review all. No, Vanessa disagrees.
No, I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay.
You know, I mean, just.
Well, it's really, I think what's interesting is that, you know, 3 years ago, when Tukwila City did these new leases with the TSD, Amy was not here and Kansi was
Yep.
not here. Leadership was different. So, you know, and I think some of the challenges that, you know, the pool's having regarding SOPs and things are not, I mean, it's not like if either or both of those leaders are gone when the next lease comes up, which they will be if it's 30 years, then, you know, I mean.
So, you know, it's just because there were comments at the TSD Board of Directors meeting that the Board of Directors had a much different thought of what those leases looked
Right.
like. They thought it looked more like our leases. So it was just important to point back to actual documents that exist. And just so we're all understanding based on the same information, not, some people aren't basing it on anecdotal information. We're just trying to provide facts. And so we're all in the same place. Finally, on the TSD thing, I just want to comment is that they are interested and, you know, moving forward with the lease, no question, in conversations with us, negotiations, but at the same time, they're not meeting our grant deadline. So we do not have an expectation that we're going to have anything in place prior to the grant being submitted. And we were very candid about that during the meeting. Because the reality is we're 6 weeks away from deadline and it's not going to happen between now and then. So anyway, that's.
The language to support what you just said is you shared Dr. Pedrosa and Amy is, in place of a land lease, we will be stating.
We will, yeah, that's what I was gonna say that. So what has been stated on other successful grants is in negotiations with the school district. It would have been obviously made our grant stronger had we been able to say, yes, we have this, but so I think that helped them take some of the pressure they may have been feeling off, just being very candid and straightforward with them. Not trying to, because the reality, but at the same time, we made it very clear that our next step is going to be discussing design phase, and location is going to have to be determined before that point.
I mean, is
So,
there any way that you can get the district to sign up a kind of letter of intent? Like, like after legal processes, blah, 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 blah.
we, so, yeah, no, you're right.
Just so there's something in that grant that says, we are working with them. They do want to have us here. They,
I know, and you can certainly do letters of support and upload that into the grant application. And so at this point, based on that conversation, I could be wrong, but Jerry and Brad, I don't see them having even the bandwidth to do that.
Well, it's possible that the pool might consider off suggesting language.
So
I don't know, I'm not exactly sure if they'd sign it, but, it's something, possibly within 6 weeks you could do. You
Yep.
could say, hey, this would be really help us, and this reflects what we said, and we all agreed to. So do you think that you guys could sign this, have your board president sign it, have the superintendent sign it? Might work.
okay, well,
so that
let's
takes
take,
zero effort minus a quick review. Nothing's a quick review.
I see both points, I do, I see, yes, we could potentially throw a quick letter of support that just says, they reinforce that they are actively engaged, that they are interested, that they are working with us to iron out those details. So I could see a document of that sort go out, I just, based on everything we've heard at this meeting and getting everything kind of in one document from as opposed to, we also talked about parking versus the long-term lease as two standalone pieces. Would it be easier for the school district just to see it all as one refreshed document? And so they're going to be working on those pieces. But we can reach out and see if there is an opportunity just to get in good faith. We're not promising anything, but we acknowledge
that we are in negotiations.
Coalition.
Because there is an opportunity in the previous grant applications. And so it'd be helpful also once we start working with our grant writer, to get
Right.
some, maybe, that's where we could get some support also.
Right.
So no, great comment. We will definitely,
Yeah, the letter's not a promise, it's just more of a.
letter of support is what they're called, and what I remember reviewing all the ones from before. So if they're willing to do, language that they're comfortable with.
Well, I would recommend we.
Yes,
suggest the
we will
language
have
and
our
make it
grant writer
better.
help with us.
Yes.
So.
Unless you got a long list there.
No, I'm actually kind of done. I just want to make sure I shared all that I just want to make sure all the rest of the board was up to date with what, is there anything else I missed regarding that?
No, again, the tone was different and we were appreciative, and appreciative that everybody was actively participating in that discussion through that school district meeting. So we appreciate them at the table and hope that they follow.
One thing I'll just point out that, because it just stuck out, because of the districts, the board meeting that they had, is that it was very clear, we made it very clear that our mission does state education.
Oh, yeah, sorry, thank you, Jerry. Yeah, that was.
And that was, and they do that, so that was well received.
Yeah.
Well, by
the way
those-
I took it.
Yeah, so by those two people who were there, because we asked how we could, did they have any suggestions on how we can better
Yes.
explain that our mission is to our only focus that's written on our mission is a focus to educate, in water safety, and how can we best articulate that to their board so they get a better understanding. And their suggestion was putting it clearly in our next presentation to them. So that's what we will do.
Sorry, that's not.
No, that's.
On that note, Jerry, I guess I should just, we also just quickly plugged in a respectful way that there is no difference between the Tuckahoe Pool District and Parks and Rec in the city of Tuckahoe in terms of agencies, how we program, how we do youth programming on school district grounds. And so to be seen as essentially an equal partner is that message. So I think that was the other piece to that, which I think at this point, we've said everything we want to say, and I think we all are ready to dig in. They're gonna work with their attorney on those draft documents. We'll remind them.
And also, sorry, one last thing, which I did forget to write down, was Dr. Pedrosa did suggest, or certainly gave us the impression that it would be an agenda item on not tomorrow, because it's a work session, but on the next Tuesday, the last Tuesday of the month, which is a board meeting, so.
No promises.
But that was, you
To
know,
discuss the items that we
yes.
brought to the table and the curiosity questions on other
Yeah.
potential land.
And will you or Brad or somebody be here for that meeting to answer questions on the fly if they
we were not
happen to-
invited, like it was an informational thing for it, but so
It
we will
wasn't
have a
officially-
conversation. I don't know that I will be in town.
Well, I think it's just really important that, you know, even if we're not invited, there's always public comment. And it seems that, you know, we've got, you're talking to finance director and to the superintendent, which is super important. And she's also talking to her board, but we're not part of that discussion, but we can insert ourselves if we have, just to remind them of, you know, certain things, like whether it's, you know, hey, just wanted to say hi and let you know we really had a great meeting with the
Egg
superintendent.
hunt is on March.
Yeah, egg hunt, and we've got, you know, our employee of the month for this month was, you know, a Foster High School student, you know, I mean, I just think it's important to raise our profile with them, and since they only meet, I think they have a work session once a month, and then they have a board meeting once a month that, you know, if we show up, you know, whether we alternate or whatever, but we are there, and public comment is generally one of the first things in there, so it's not like we'd have to stick around for
But I mean,
hours.
it's again, like, maybe they wouldn't have asked last time, but I mean, it was the time before last when they started just kind of like saying kind of like that had no basis behind it for anybody to correct them, to say,
Yeah, but even last time, they weren't looking for input or correction, so.
which is disturbing to me.
So once again, trying to at least get the correct information to the leaders there and trust that they will lead.
Okay, so. you want a motion?
That is, I think that's it. Anyway, but at the end of the day, we had a feeling of they're interested in getting this wrapped up by the end of their year, which is their school year. So.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Yes, thank you for attending, thank you, Jerry, for attending, and Brad, and Vanessa, and awesome.
Very available.
I know, do you love it?
It did kind of get a little
I'm
cold.
gonna put my name on the bathroom wall somewhere.
I make a
All right,
motion.
on that note, we're not going into executive session, so I will see a motion for number 11
Yes, I make a motion
to adjourn.
Second.
to adjourn.
Any discussion on adjournment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
If everybody says ayes, why are you asking for adjournment? Anybody to oppose?